Hello, everybody. It's Weekender time once more. And on this Star Wars week, Warren, Justin, Free, and myself take a look at a host of tabletop gaming goodness in a galaxy far, far away. On top of all of that, one lucky subscriber will get a chance to win a copy of Diabolik, the heist game, courtesy of the UK Games Expo, which is coming up very, very soon. If you want to be in with a chance to win, then all you need to do is be a subscriber to the channel, pop a comment below, give us a thumbs up, and if you can share us around social media as well, that would be terrific. Otherwise, sit back and relax, because your weekend starts here. Hello, everybody. Look at us all tarted up for Star Wars week. I've got a delightful... Well, I don't know where I am, some sort of cruiser.
I think you're on the... You look like you're on one of the Enterprise decks or something. Or
No, that's...
that's Picard's new ship, isn't it?
That's my Old Republic cruiser, I think. I was a colonel in that military. Nice. It was amazing. I was great. I was amazing. What can I say? Anyway.
You were.
Excellent RPG.
Dudes, I'm having anxiety issues at the moment. I just want to talk about it because, you know, it's always good to talk. But there's a couple of things that aren't helping it, right?
Good.
And one is just checking no one around. Right.
You don't want that? Oh, God, they're behind me.
At my children's school, right, one of the other daddies is an undertaker. Okay.
Okay.
So when you go and drop your kiddies off to school, so I have to take little Jack to his play school in there every day, right? When you go, the Undertaker daddy walks out, and if he's dressed up, you know there's going down.
Oh,
but that's not what's worrying me, right? I thought he had a condition, okay? Because every time I'd say hello to him, I would get this in response. How you doing? Right? Watch.
Are you doing a cross with your eyes, Warren?
Yeah. Oh, no, it's that little dart about as if going, oh, who is this person? Why are they talking to me?
Oh, no, he's measuring you up for a catch.
He's measuring me up, man.
Okay. I mean...
I'm telling you, that's and I swear, this is it, because it was really... I felt sorry for the guy, and then I said, Andre, like, you know, I don't know where to look when he's doing that. I thought he was like my ma with one eye looking at him and one eye looking for me. You know, it was like so. But it was like
so the Russell Hard.
But no, Andre said no, he doesn't do that to me. And then it struck me, just as a Jerryism there. That's him measuring me every time I meet him. It's just up, down, left, right, and you can just see the cogs turning in his mind as he works out. How do I get this big guy into a box?
Well, here's my question: does he have like a catalog to work through, or is it a custom build? Does he do custom builds?
I don't know.
I mean, it's not going to help when he finds out that you call him Undertaker Daddy either. So.
But I mean,
Undertaker Daddy.
Really into wrestling as well. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, I just have the image of this guy in his garage scratch building coffins.
Yeah.
There you go. Everyone needs a hobby, you know.
I made the mistake of mentioning this to my wife, right? And now Andrea has it just keeps somehow coming back to the topic, and that's freaking me out even more. So she was telling me, she says, "Oh, you know, on his website now, you can see that you can actually hire a coffin.
Hire a coffin?
Yep.
Hire a coffin?
You kind of need to buy that.
What do you mean you hire a coffin?" And she says, "No, I think this would work out well for you, darling." What? She says, "Well, what they do is they get you a fancy coffin, and you can hire it for 300 quid for the day, and then they'll put you in it, and they'll lower you down, and then when we all bugger off, they'll bring you back up again, take you out of the coffin, and chuck you in the grave."
Lovely. Memories.
What kind of topics are these? Isn't it any
again,
wonder I'm
honestly-
feeling up to high dough?
I mean, I'm going to say it is a clever business model
It is a
because
good
he doesn't
business
have
model.
to keep buying new coffins.
Yes, coffins
he
are
just-
dear buggers.
When you're done with it, he takes it back to his office, hits it with a bit of Febreze. There we go, ready for round 2.
You see, the thing is, right? I have taken a leaf out of Jerry's book on this one. So the cost is not going to be in my coffin. The cost is going to be in the size of the hole. Because obviously I'm a big guy, but I'm also going to be buried with my pile of shame. I'm taking it with me. Just like Jerry is, I'm going to take it with me. So they put me in, they'll throw all the sprues in, crap that I haven't got round to.
So hang on,
Ancient kings and emperors, why would it not work for us?
So hang on, instead of the terracotta army, it's going to be the ranks of the pile of shame in front of your gravesite.
Yes,
They're going to dig it up.
They'll never be able to
in
exhume
100
you
years.
because the sheer mass of entangled sprues will create almost like a reinforced concrete kind of effect. So that's me protected from looters. So I'll be better protected than Tutankhamun.
Yeah.
This is going to be great. There we go.
Just
We all
saying,
know
the
what
guys
to
that
do.
opened his tomb, they all did pass away very quickly afterwards.
On a happy note. Right? I got my bits that I'm doing for my entry for the painting competition.
Well, I've actually got something that you might be interested in as well, Warren,
Oh,
that might be
wait.
tempting for you.
Wait. Let me talk about this first. Okay, that is tempting. Actually. That is
I love being a plastic crack dealer.
right. So to try and get myself back into the spirit of hobbiness, because I've talked about this on the backstage show on XLBS a couple of times. It's the last couple of years has taken a toll, and sometimes, like many of us, I look at a project and I just like, oh. But anyway, the group, the big company that we're a part of, is actually having a staff painting competition. Okay, just as a thing for all staff to be able to, if they choose, get involved and just get into the hobby spirit and stuff. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to have a go. I hate painting now. Everybody knows I hate painting. Okay, but I thought, yeah, I'm going to give that a go. So I picked the Tianlong, which are flying dystopian wars dragons. There's a reason I picked this, because a little bird tells me, see all this flying awesome stuff in dystopian wars? That could become a thing. Right. So anyway, I picked the dragons and I've got them. Now, mine came in a little bit late, so I'm a little bit behind the curve, but that's okay. Because, I'm not in it to win it, because I've already seen some of the painting that some of these folks have done throughout the group. And holy smokes, some of these dudes can really, really paint. Like, they're really, really good. But I'm just, I win if I participate. That's the way I'm looking at it. So I have to do
I have to wonder, though, is the
to get
studio
involved.
painters banned from it just because they'd be a notch above everyone else?
I know anybody can enter, because you do it for the and giggles.
Mm.
You do it for the and giggles. So I'm going to have a go at these, and this is in lieu of the spring clean challenge that I haven't been able to get involved in this year, which is killing me. But this is my next best thing. So I was just going to keep you guys up to date on this over the next 3 weeks, just because I think that would help me. And everybody knows it's all about me. So.
Well, as I was thinking about spring clean this weekend, and over the last couple of weeks, I've been looking at my hoard of Moonstone miniatures and looking forward to painting them. And as a point, I'm getting as many Moonstone minis painted, and what a surprise, as I can for my spring cleaning challenge. And it's nice. We've seen loads of spring cleaning stuff pop up in the project system recently, and there's been more and more, but we don't want you to forget it's still spring. There is still a chance to clean.
When does the Spring Clean Challenge finish? Do we know the closing date on that?
Yeah.
Or is that one?
The last day of spring.
All right.
That
So
last day of
whatever is the
spring.
last day of spring then is
It will be around the 20th of June because it's always in and around there. But like most things in life, it moves. It's not
is the
fixed.
21st of June. That's the midsummer
There we go.
solstice. Is it
21st of June this year. I think it was 20th last year. It finished.
That's Lloyd's birthday.
Fast approaching. Was it
Mm.
Lloyd's birthday? The 21st.
Yeah, the 21st of June is Lloyd's birthday.
Oh.
And guess what? Mine's tomorrow.
Is your
Oh.
birthday tomorrow? Tomorrow or
46.
today? Tomorrow.
46. Yeah, tomorrow. My birthday is tomorrow, Saturday. Yeah. So it's 7th of May, and I turn 46.
Oh, but
Uh,
you missed it by one day. Your birthday could have been on Revenge of the Sixth.
No, I'm Revenge of the 7th.
Shocking
So,
stuff.
but that's okay. I just know that come Monday, when I walk into the school, Undertaker Daddy's probably going to do the whole eye flick thing twice now on me from here on in. So
There you
it's
go.
Makes
An
sense.
extra year. Be a wink soon.
so yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing. I'm leaning on yous as a community a little bit, but hey, that's kind of what we're all here for. Lean on one another.
And if you have
in-
no clue what the Spring Clean Challenge is, it's very simple. We have 4 different categories where you can win prizes. Big money, big prizes. I love it. So we've got 3 prizes in each category. And all you need to do is dust yourself down, find something that's been lurking in the back of a cupboard or forgotten on a shelf, and start a project in our project system. And then come in here. And when you add the project, you'll be asked to add it to a contest. And you just look down there for Spring Clean Challenge and apply it thusly.
It's long.
And we are a third of the way through. At the end of June, we'll go through all the various entries and see who we think is the most skillful in their execution, who's given us the best tutorial, what's the best idea. Doesn't matter how good, bad, or indifferent you are at that. And also for our younger members, the best junior. So the Otter Pup also in with a chance to win. Anybody under 16, you will have to tag your post at the top because there's no actual way of us knowing who is and who isn't.
We're into trying to keep you dudes as anonymous as we can.
Yeah.
That's just the way we roll around
That
here.
is. And
I
that's all
actually
you
have
need
a
to
little
do.
news on
Yeah.
my Spring Clean Challenge, if I may.
We did.
You what?
So, a few weeks ago, John called me out on camera
He
to
did.
finish out 1,500 points of my Space Marine Army scheme.
Yeah.
And I can quite happily report I've won. I've beat John. I've done it. She's finished.
Have you felt
Really?
any more need to do any more cleaning? You've got done early, Justin. Is there a need to keep going?
Well, honestly, there's one change I want to make to the army list, which is more scouts. And Shay here in the studio was very kind and got me an extra box of scouts for my birthday. So they may
Nice.
get added to it. But
Do you know,
this
that
would
is
be-
without doubt probably the best democratic unionist Space Marine chapter I think I've
Warren,
ever seen.
only people in Northern Ireland are going to get that, mate. Sorry, the joke's too specific.
Oh,
But
don't worry.
what I was
It's a
aiming
niche
for...
joke.
The UK will remember them.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a niche joke, that one. It was.
well, my goal for this army was basically the ultimate speed paint army. So this
Ooh.
entire army uses about 4 colors, maybe a 5th color just in a couple of detail spots. And that's how it has turned out.
That's great.
So it's base prime is bolt gun spray.
Mhm.
All of the red is Blood Angels red straight over the top. The gold is all Nazbrag yellow straight over the top of the silver. And the basing material is the Astrogranite debris. And I went to Green Stuff World for some of their super bright poppy grass tufts because I wanted that juxtaposition on the color.
Yeah.
And I'm quite proud of that.
Mm.
Dude, do
Right.
you know what you should do?
Nope, I'm
Right.
done.
Go on, please. Have a go at this, right? No, because you will love it.
Okay.
Do you see the red tufts?
Uh-huh.
Do you know the bit across the top of the Space Marine helmet?
Oh, I'm not doing Mohawks.
Trim the
No, Mohawk.
little red ones and then put them on, and you'll get that kind of like Greeky kind of thing.
Everybody
Was
loves
it the
a
Greeks
crest.
or the Romans? It was the Greeks, wasn't it?
Both,
Both.
probably.
Both. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they'll have them that kind of like spiky kind of
Mm.
thing across the top of their helms.
Well, anyway, I'm not doing that, Warren, because that's too much work. I am finitoed. But for the best speed paint army I
John,
could do, I
He's
am
not
happy
finished
with.
until he does that. So you
No,
can still win.
Warren. Here's the thing. I'm editing this show, so John will never hear you.
Silenced.
In the Weekender edit, John
I shall
cannot
pick
hear
up
you.
the phone.
Nice little project. Wouldn't get
Yeah.
tutorial though.
No, well, this is what I actually say in that particular post is I had taken a lot of work in progress pictures. I had hoped to get them all in on time to show off on the show. I may come back and update the project later because that's the thing with the project system. Even if you do something, you can always go back and sort of readjust, re-say something, say there's a step you forgot. You're not locked in as soon as you post it in. You do have the ability to go in and adjust your stuff to make sure.
So what you're actually saying is
right away.
you're not finished then?
The army is finished. The project is not. I was challenged on an army, not on a project.
All right, fair enough.
I will be pedantic. But no, I'm really happy with it. I'm really proud of it. So
Well done, you. And like I say, folks, you've got 2 months left, more or less. So
Roughly.
we're only a third of the way through the Spring Clean Challenge. Bags of time if you haven't got started to dive in there, and you might win a big voucher that you can spend on more stuff to add to replace whatever you've just taken out of your boxes.
but I can't win because I work here.
That's not the best way to do things. Right. I think it's time to have Warren deafen everybody. And this is how we know the magic happens.
Oh.
Because it is time for the
Week of the Indie.
a very Star Wars themed W.
Yeah.
You weren't expecting that.
No, I was expecting my eardrums to get blown out.
I was braced, yeah.
Most people are at the other side of the room hiding behind the seat at this stage.
You see, I like to keep you all on your toes, you know?
Well, you know what? There's going to be a lot of people out there that might have muted that, might have turned it down, and they're going to be disappointed.
Oh, see, hang on. Like normally in the edit, I do draw Warren's voice down a little bit, and I throw a nice big echo on there for him just to make it sound more epic.
Well, this time, what you need to do is to get the whole swamp noises thing in the background.
Okay. I was thinking the same thing.
I will have a look on our Elements website if I can find the audio file. Maybe.
That's grand.
Nice.
Or you just put a microphone in one of our toilets in the studio and you're there for half an hour and you'll soon get swamp noises.
I mean, that's a little too real. That's a little too method for me. So.
Who have we got this week, Jerry? Is it Star Wars themed by any chance?
It's funny you say that. Because it is.
Yes.
I've got 2, actually. 2? 2. And you'll see why I've got 2. Because I was looking at Star Wars, and there's an awful lot of companies out there making Star Wars or Star Wars adjacent tiny fighting men, be it 3D print, be it real miniatures that people can actually own, be it old school stuff, people picking up things like the Wizards of the Coast pre-painted D20 stuff. I know I've got a ton. Warren has a load as well. And then obviously there's Legion. Now, Legion is a very specific, shall we say, rule set. There's a lot of you get this unit and this unit has these cards and then you use these cards for this. And for tournament freaks, it's great because you can sit there and go, well, if I buy 3 of this droid pack, then I can use the supplemental card with that with actually a completely different unit where it works better. No, none of that. I've had a look at running games of Star Wars using whatever miniatures you want and normal dice and tape measure and maybe cards like what people have in their house. So we've got 2. One is a homebrewed rule set, which I first came across on Jay's Wargaming blog in the US of A. He did this a few years ago for, I think it was Pacificon. And there were 2 demo games being run, or not demo games, 2 participation games being run. One was on Endor and one was on Hoth. And the nice thing about running big demo games like this, I'm not saying you couldn't do that with Legion, but what I'm saying is
it's a pain in the arse to do that with Legion, let's be honest.
I mean, a game that size, I'm just going to say it now, death by token.
Yeah, not even that. I mean, just the fact that you've got the draw mechanic, but then also some cards put stuff on the table and you've got all that sort of downtime in between. It just it sucks the fun out of the room for a large amount of people. And as you can see here, they just got things like googly-eyed ATST, so chicken walkers for the win. And the miniatures themselves are, I think, actually Legion miniatures, but they're mixed in with other bits and pieces. So as you can see there's a few Ewoks, doing the rounds. And because when you're homebrewing stuff, you don't need to be restricted by the finite amount of stuff that's been released by an actual company for their line. You're not, I mean, I believe next year the Ewoks are coming.
So I hear, yeah.
But yeah,
Still waiting for my Gungan army.
But we've all been waiting for things for a long, long time. And so being able to go in and play out a game, gone too far, I've hit the ships, and play out a game in whatever manner you feel is always good crack. And the system that was used for this is one that'll be familiar to an awful lot of people watching the show. He converted bolt action. So you still have the dice draw, which means that people can choose what they want to activate. I believe this was at Historicon as well, I think. I remember a Hoth table like this in the corner at Historicon. But you can lay about, you set up your own rules, add in things that don't exist, base them off things like the heavy tanks, and then tweak them. And if you're interested in playing something like this, then you can go to Jay's Wargaming Madness blog. And he has all the play sheets that you need to play. So
lovely.
There are a few play sheets there, as you can see, because this essentially adapts bolt action to Star Wars. Mm-hmm. But alongside that, he's also done the army lists that he used for the Rebels and the Empire for some of those games as well. And as you can see here, if you're familiar with bolt action, you can probably skip a lot of these because you'll know what they are already. If you're not, on six pages, so 3 double-sided sheets will give you your basic movement and then your more interesting things. So the likes of having your Sith or Jedi commanders who roll bucket loads of dice by themselves, by the way. I'm just throwing that out there if you happen to want one of those running about. I also like the fact that he's gone in and you know, he's gone the whole hog when it comes to setting the thing up. So the insane courage and the Fubard orders become things like laser brain, or the force is with you for double ones.
This is a superb piece of work, isn't it?
Oh, it's cool. It's a thing of beauty. That's your shooting, and then all the new types of weapons. So you've got obviously the blaster rifles and assault rifles and rotary blasters and anything you can think of that's ever been wielded in a movie or by a miniature is in here. So you can have your fixed team for your blaster cannons and your medium blasters, and you can play out those massive games that you want to play out. Because let's face it, when Legion came out, the first thing was like, how many miniatures could we cram onto the table? At that point, it starts to sort of break down somewhat.
Yeah.
Because you need to devote a weekend to a game or your entire life to it. But with this,
there's a couple of trains of thought here, Jerry. Right? Many of us, right? So there's kind of this. There's kind of the old school, and then a bit of an American import, the more new school arcadey kind of approach, right? Yeah. So Fantasy Flight seemed to, and a number of others, but mostly Fantasy Flight went down this track of the arcadey style. So this is this. We sometimes call it American, but you can find it all over, where you get lots of tokens and cards and things like that there, and it looks like a PC kind of real-time strategy game. Everything is laid out and tokenized and stuff like that. I think I'm a bit more, and certainly as I've got older, I'm very much get everything off the table except for the minis.
Yeah.
Just get minis and terrain on the table. So I'm not anti-token, but I just find it to be cumbersome, I think is the word. Do you know what? If I had a good handful of dice and a tape measure, I think that's the only tools you kind of need, really.
Pretty much.
I like the flexibility of the bigger games. Yeah. And do you know what I specifically like about Star Wars, Jerry? A few years back, you might remember on an XLBS, I was talking about I was struggling with sci-fi because I was really finding it difficult to get into the headspace of sci-fi because it was so diverse. Okay. I've actually started to embrace what I thought was the weakness of sci-fi. Okay. And Star Wars is perfectly placed for that Star Wars has never, in my humble opinion, set limits to the races. There was always a new alien or something
beyond
popping
the
up.
fringe. Yeah.
And they were always in there and among each other. Whereas, 40K, because it was built from the ground up to be a game system, always felt like it had these specific limits. And if you went outside of the limits, it never really felt part like it could truly belong. It always felt a little bit shoehorned in. But with Star Wars, I don't feel that anymore. I am so happy to take any kind of miniature range. Like as a Star Wars challenge, you could chuck me a bunch of random sprues, and I could create a Star Wars alien race faction out of that. Do you know what I mean? You different heads and stuff like that. There, you could go shopping and just pick random bits and pieces here and just put it all together, and it'll generally fit within Star Wars. The only thing that you have to kind of keep in mind is the new tech as old tech kind of approach.
Yeah, you need to dirty it up a bit. I think it's one of the reasons why the prequel trilogy, it was a bit too clean and shiny.
Yes.
Didn't have that lived-in feel. Mm-hmm. And you can always go, well, they're royalty. In the words of Monty Python, you can tell it must be a king. They're not covered in shit. So you can understand that. But it did feel a bit too shiny, and it feels a
bit weird. With Star Wars, it's surprising. It's a playground for weathering, isn't it, mate?
Oh, very much so. And I mean, even things like when FFG released the initial Rebel box, there was one alien in the Rebel troopers. They've subsequently added that, but I remember Tony up at the club getting a load of random alien heads from old miniatures and from some of the pre-painted plastic, and just cutting the heads off and sticking them on, and just having that diversity in there. But I really like this. If you think of the sheets, that's a 6-page rule system. If you're familiar with Bolt Action, that's a 6-page rule book, and you can do everything from force powers all the way and play bigger games. How much bigger depends on what you want to do, really. But because Bolt Action is things like Tank War and that sort of thing as well, you aren't limited to a small scale skirmish. You can have your massive battles where you're replacing, a tank platoon with chicken walkers everywhere, with or without googly eyes. You can do these things, and it works and flows and is very easy for people to get involved with. So that's the first homebrewed rule set.
That's very impressive.
That is.
Yeah. And I have to say, I absolutely love this. Love it to bits.
Didn't we do something like this many moons ago, Warren?
Yes.
We built a Hoth table?
Yes, we did.
Hunt out that again.
Yes. Stick it in the show notes if you can find it.
I'll see if I can hunt it down for folks, because that was also quite a fun one.
Mm-hmm. The second thing then is, if people, I know some people do like Bolt Action as a rule set, or if you're not looking to play grand scale games, then there is actually a rule set by Wiley called A Fistful of Lead. It was originally written about a decade ago for Pew Pew in the Wild West. But since then, they've gone in and added multiple editions. So they've brought it into Colonial Wars. They brought it into space with Galactic Heroes. There is a Starfighter game as well. So if you want to do your ship-to-ship combat. And Galactic Heroes it's more small-scale narrative. It is your Star Wars films or your TV shows where you've got a crew or a group of 4, 5, 6 people per side. And it's a delightful little system as well. There's no points values. It's narrative. You're telling your story. You're building your crew. You're doing your stuff. So you're not sitting there going, well, how do I min-max this? If I take 3 droids, then I don't have to worry about stuns. Stuff like that. That goes out the window straight away. Uses D10 or D12. D10's the regular, and then D12 is for people who are a bit more special. And a card deck. You don't need to use these cards, but I will show you these cards because they've done this is their specific set. So it's just a regular deck of cards. But as you can see, It doesn't have to be used for Star Wars. It can be used for anything in space. So if you want to go a bit grimdarky, you can play grimdarky. If you want to go a bit pulp, you can go pulp.
Nice.
If you want to go into a galaxy far, far away, then that is also very doable.
Go a little bit tracky.
Yeah, literally, Galactic Heroes is written for anybody who wants to do anything in space, whether it's Flash Gordon or Star Wars or their own devising.
This is like a pure narrative skirmish game then, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
That's wonderful.
You can play between 2 and 8 players per side. And the reason...
Per side?
In total.
All right, okay.
So 2 to 8. Because when you're playing the game, you shuffle the cards, you deal 1 per model on the tabletop, and then you activate in rank order. So with a deck of cards, you've got 52 in there. So if you've got 8 people with 6 in each of their crew, 48, that's kind of your limit. You can't really go higher than that. But some of the cards, I don't know if we can see them on any of these. Yes, some of the cards have specific things. So when you draw the Jack of Spades, that'll be your hand at the start. And then when you're activating, you start at kings and work your way down. So when it comes to like the Jack, you're going, okay, well, which one of my crew do I want to activate with this? And if you've got the Jack of Spades, that crew member is also going to get +1 to their shoot roll for this turn, or +1 to close combat after the Jack of Clubs.
So let me get this straight. So you get your deck of cards, shuffle them up at the start of the turn,
deal them,
and then deal them
to one per model on the table to their owner.
To their owner. So if there were 2 players, 10 models per side.
Yep.
Deal 10 cards each.
10 cards each. That's your hand, and then you activate from highest to lowest. But you choose where you activate. So you go, well, I'll use this card because it's got +1 shoot on that big hairy Wookiee with the bowcaster this turn.
But if you want him to move first, you'll have to use a higher suit card.
Use a higher suit card,
and sacrifice your bonus.
Yeah. You see, you may end up where it makes more sense to activate somebody earlier without a bonus because you don't want them to be riddled with bullets in the middle of a street or stabbed up by a Jedi with a laser sword. You know, it's up to you.
Risk reward balance to that.
I really like this.
It's very nice. There are a couple of additional, as he calls them, codexes, Codex Galactica, which adds rules for vehicles in your game. So the base Galactic Heroes plays out on that small scale skirmish with just miniatures, just infantry essentially. But you can add vehicles in if you want to go a bit bigger. And then if you want to go bigger still, there's a supplement called Bigger Battles. Now, obviously, at this stage, you're having to buy multiple books to do multiple things. So that the core of Fistful of Lead is small scale skirmish. But if you want to start doing much larger games, then I'm not going to be able to find it in here, am I? Catalog, I will find it. Then you would go and find something like the Bigger Battle supplement, which explains how you change the game up to play out larger engagements where squads activate on cards rather than individuals or things like that, and just tweaks the mechanics. So there are multiple ways that you can tailor Fistful of Lead and Galactic Heroes to play out, whether you want to play that narrative small group as they make their way to do whatever it happens to be against some evil empire, perhaps, or whether you want to play out your mission on Scarif, or combine them. This
is awesome, Jerry. I'm just looking at this, and it's like if the Fistful of Lead game engine is a fairly easy thing to get your head around.
Oh yeah.
Just look at the amount of skin.
So versatile,
That is your quick reference sheet.
Fantastic.
So if you're just playing with regular cards, not their special cards that say on it, it tells you on the bottom what's going on. Remove shock, remove wound. Your turn sequences shuffle and deal cards to each player for each miniature they have. You activate in this suit order, and then from highest to lowest. Movement values, shooting, close combat, how to wound, and how to recover. Bosh.
I like that.
So there's more detail in the actual games then when it comes to creating the characters who are going to be playing. So if somebody's a robot, then metal body, bit of armor. If somebody's got a laser sword, they've got armor piercing or maybe some sort of mind bending tricks that they can do on people. So you can create your troop on the tabletop in a more narrative fashion, and that's where you get your flavor for what you're playing. But then the rules themselves are very easy to pick up, and it doesn't matter whether you want to play in the Old West or whether you want to go full Krull on somebody, or in this
Oh.
case, off to a galaxy far, far away.
That Wasteland Warriors one kind of calling out to me.
That's well worthwhile picking up. They do have a supplier in the UK now as well, so you don't have to order them direct if you're lurking
nice.
in the UK, which I will pop below because I can't remember, but it's in my bookmarks.
No,
of course it is.
Of course.
How I roll. But yeah.
That requirement of retail therapy once in a while, just going...
Once in a while. He usually does it during the show. This isn't once in a while.
Right, it really
I was being gentle.
No. But yeah, there we go. If people are interested in playing out some Star Wars gaming, and maybe they've been turned off by the likes of Legion and all its kibbles and bits floating like an asteroid cluster behind your miniatures, then there are obviously viable options out there. Those are just two. And if you've got any more that you want to let us know about, drop them below.
And remember, folks, do or do not. There is no try.
And on that note, we're going to take a quick swish. And when we be back, taking a look at some of your character creations. What a delightful swish that was. That's one of the best swishes I've had in ages.
Unreal. Yeah.
Now, a week ago, if you were paying attention, Free threw out a challenge for people to design characters that would fit into the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a look at the first grouping. So this one are Force users, Free.
Yeah, so we've got our Force users that we're having a look at the minute. So for those that don't know, this was Force Undiscovered. So if you ever thought you were special and nobody cared, able to move things with your mind or see things before they happen, sorry, and sadly, you've been born outside the Republic. So how have you used your unhoned skills to survive? And I gave a couple of examples. So Anakin Skywalker could have been a slave his whole life, or he could have been a pretty good pod racer if the Jedi never got involved. And not to mention how many younglings might have survived considering. So we've got quite a lot of this. So Postal Nick was our first one that made our eyes twinkle on this challenge. So this is Shanvan, a seeker hunter, and she hunts down those that prey upon the innocent. She will go to the most hostile environments to complete her work. She understands her abilities to a point, but she has yet met a Jedi to really show her what her full potential could be. So this is Force Unawakened.
So she's sort of a friendlier version of the bounty hunter Aura Singh. People may know her from the expanded universe, who spends her time wandering about and shooting Jedi in the face for the Empire. Quite like that.
Yeah, she's still got some work to go. It's great.
I like the way they've done the skin patterning is a very nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
That is nice. Makes it stand out on its own. But yet to fit in, yet to know her true power, still to be decided. So the next one we have got is Kieran Amida. To say it really fast, live in La Vida Loca. Okay, so with this one, we have Tali Van Kutoni, and they were more than a youngling, but less than a Padawan when the Great Jedi Purge began. Spared immediate discovery and termination due to being aboard non-military transport when Order 66 was issued. She arrived at her destination to find she would be master dead, and the galaxy turned even more hostile. So having initially fled into hiding, Tali continued to explore her nascent powers, even without the guidance of the Jedi Order. Now far from the Jedi Knight, but having deployed her powers, she roams the galaxy, helping those she can and looking for ways to strike back at evil she sees perpetuated by the Empire.
Just realised she lost a limb at some point for as a robot foot.
It's incredible. And this is not miniature designers doing these. This is our community designing these.
This is awesome. This is fantastic.
I do quite like the little detail of the mismatched eyes.
The mismatched eyes is lovely. I do like, it's like we said earlier about how anything can really exist within the Star Wars universe. Yeah. And
this just goes to prove my point.
This does fit in. This story works absolutely perfect. I really like that. I like the forearms. I wasn't. When you read the story, you wasn't expecting the forearms.
No.
And it's a really nice touch.
That's That's how you deal with General Grievous if he ever reappears.
Well, yeah. Well, I've got her lightsabers from somewhere, so who knows? Who
True.
knows? The next person we have got Brian Fowler, 713. So this is Phelan. Wow. Oh, Warren noise. One of Kasu's countless refugees, upended by the Galactic Civil War. Phelan Noir has been fleeing from one battle line to another most of his life. He remembers his name, but not where he originally come from, what his people are called, or why small inanimate objects seem to have more and more trouble staying around him lately. So I really like this one because this really is your desolate world out in the middle of nowhere. Why can I do this? What's going on? This is true undiscovered territory.
I mean, always find work on a road crew.
It's incredible.
That's it.
It is awesome.
I like seeing the use of force powers without necessarily needing a lightsaber on it. Somebody who fled. They're not lightsaber wielding Jedi. They're just somebody who's force sensitive, and if they need to bounce rocks off people's head, then they can do it.
This is one that really is undiscovered, as it were. There's someone that has no idea what's going on around them, and again fits so well inside.
Who's up next then? Oh, I see who's up next, and good luck with that pronunciation.
Go on, I'm going to give it a go. This is Mars 2024 or 2024. I said that special because I'm never going to pronounce the next one. It's Grux Kebab. Grux Kebab? Let's go for that.
Sure. Grux Kebab is the best.
Kebab.
That way, Warren, makes do with limited training she had before her masters sent her away. She knows that if she can find a safe place to hide, she can work on discovering and developing her connection to the Force and
laying eggs,
contact and laying eggs, doing what
for us to eat.
Yeah, I was just going to say another Force user is just going to come along and pop them in their mouth.
Yeah, my little baby Yoda's going to come and go.
That's adorable. That's up there with Baby Yoda territory. How could not everybody love a tree frog Jedi? Come on now.
I think I'm going to say this is my favorite one so far.
Yeah,
this one's top of my list.
I like this one. It is really cool. I like the red and blue contrast. It's really nice, especially with it. But so she's trying to make contact with her family that she'd known before. It's not going to be easy, but she's making progress. Even her visions to construct a pair of lightsabers. She's taken her first step out of her safe space to help others to prove her ghost that she deserves to be counted as a Jedi. So that is really
incredible.
Grux Kebab, or how Warren said.
Grux Kebab.
That one. And our final entry for the Force Undiscover comes from Sam Bedge, and this is Sirin Mobto. Okay, so the Empire may have gone on the outer rim, little was changed. Crime lords still run the show, and everyone has to pay their due. Sirin had been a thief in the spaceport of Starshore for as long as she could remember. She'd always been good at it. Somehow, she'd always knew when the security guard wasn't looking, or what the quickest route was. She had an uncanny knack with locks of all kinds, and she quickly learned to keep Hal. She knew the secret lest others tried to take advantage. So there is a lot of narrative for this one as well, which I love from Sam Bedge, and I could keep going on this one. But again, this is another one that's undiscovered. This one really ticks the box for me in out of the way, out of the nowhere, no corruption, keeping themselves to themselves and finding their own place.
I love the facial markings and stuff like that. It's very Star Wars, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you say no corruption, but when she's jumped by 5 gangers, she forced lightning them.
It's her own corruption. It's
she's
not
feeding on something there.
Yeah.
On the light side of the Force. But
her own found corruption.
Oh no, caught with the gem. Havachi.
Without guidance, light or dark side.
So how do we pick a winner then?
Oh, what one's your favourites?
My favourite is the dude with the rocks.
The dude with the
rocks. There is something about the dude with the rocks.
Was Brian Fowler.
That's my favorite at the moment. Well, of those, I love them all.
Yeah.
And I particularly like saying,
well, that was the other one.
Yeah,
but
that's
this one is my favorite. I just think it fits.
This is
even the look on his face of how am I doing this? It's like, oh, I love it.
Yeah.
What about yourself, Free? Which is your favourite out of the 5?
I'm actually in agreement with you with Phelan Noir. This one really hit the nail on the head for me about being in a planet in the middle of nowhere, completely undiscovered, not touched by any order of any kind. Just, why have I got this? Why can I do this? It's very stuck in the middle of it, and it's very believable narrative. It would fit seamlessly for me, so I do quite like Phelan.
Justin?
Wow.
It's the Toad Jedi, guaranteed. Have to vote it.
Gross kebab.
It just the character just looks really cool, perfectly Star Wars themed, and it just I would love to see this miniature in real life.
Well, I'm not going to split the vote. So we will have a winner, but I have to say my favorite is actually Sirin Mobto.
It's the Force Lightning, isn't it?
It's the Force Lightning. It's the little story that went with it, explaining what happened and the fact that
the
being attacked at that point, and you see it in their face. So it was the whole part and parcel of that. It was the Force Lightning shocking out there. But it does mean we have a clear winner, and our winner is Brian Fowler with our rock balancing Jedi.
Congratulations.
Well done, Brian. Looking forward to seeing the print of that.
Yeah. Obviously, the winners will be dropped in below so people can have a look at those. And we'll put in the links to the actual thread as well, because there are a ton. This was just a short list that we had to bring it down, because otherwise the show would be 4 hours long and it would just be us spinning things around in there.
We had to calm down.
Yeah, we had to. It was unfortunate, but we had to.
Bring your darlings.
No.
This is probably my favorite competition we've ever run.
It's great.
I really, really like this one.
See, I really loved the Speedo Goblin last year, Mr. And when it came to Star Wars, there's so much potential of loads of people's creativity being touched and seeing what could be created within the universe. So it was the perfect one.
I'm amazed no one made the Speedo Goblin this year again.
Oh,
they did. Oh, right.
Oh,
We didn't get to see it. Okay. Speedo Goblin 2.0.
And so, have we got a couple of Kickstarters, Jerry? Let's break this up a little bit, yeah?
Yeah. So, in keeping with the Star Wars feel of the world at the moment, as is our want in life, I have a couple of little teeny tiny Kickstarters. Barely even notice you're eating them. Nummy, nummy, nummy. The first up is the Universal Shuttle Type G. Now, this is an interesting one. It's the first being done by Games Art. He's essentially a hobbyist who needed to find some way of making cash during the lockdown, and his business had to close. He'd toyed with this stuff in the past and decided to go back and do it. I will preface this by saying it's a single model with options, and it's a modular system. However, it is designed for FDM printers. A lot of people have been going, how will this print on a resin printer? I've got a blah, 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 such and such. And his answer has been, I don't own one of those. I'm not going to say it's going to be great. It's specifically made for FDM. So if people get this and have a resin printer, they may have to do a lot of the heavy lifting themselves, because he says he's not comfortable in selling something to people that he's not 100% certain will work. So this is purely FDM based. Interesting looking thing. Has a very Star Warsy feel to it. Has a very sort of Lambda class Imperial Shuttle type thing going on. But it's the modularity I really liked in this. As you can see, it prints out very nicely as well. Presumably he's done that on a very high spec. He does say in the fact what he's printed it on. There we go. Standard Prussian Mint PLA and something or other, the blah, 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 something.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the long standard ship, which is the core of it, has had several upgrades and changes made to it throughout the course of this, where we have a much chunkier, more Lambda-like body stretch section. I mean, all you're missing is the big fin sail at the top of that. But I quite like how he's got the side, the sort of rear side panels overlapping on the side edge. You can see the grey just over the green.
It's like active armor almost, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a really nice change, because obviously we expect the flippy out wing bits, but I like that it's in keeping with that.
Like the weapon
including,
upgrades.
the tail gunner sort of canopy, got that sort of bomber feel. Then he threw in a couple of little surprise stretch goals. So a couple of different wing options. And again, fixed wing, flat, like a headhunter. So sort of very.
That's a ZX, is it? The ZX headhunter or something?
Yeah. And then you've got this more sort of Sith-like sort of ion engine sort of feel to it. But it was just a lovely little bespoke, self-contained ship that you can start slapping together in any way, shape, or form you want. It is just this ship. There's nothing else, no bells or whistles. It will cost you the princely sum of €29 for everything in there. And, you know, there's a few bits and pieces to be done.
Philip, I'm in love.
But,
I haven't run my FDM printer in about 2 years. Mm-hmm. And all I want to do right now is go and start cleaning the nozzle out to see if I can get it working. That's just nuts.
This is the perfect 3D printing Kickstarter in my mind. Because if you were going to supply this, you're not going to get all of the options to be able to print it off to build another one. You can print off as many of these as you want, as many variations as you want. You've got yourself. That's fantastic.
The other thing you can do with this, which is what I would be very tempted to do if I was able to get a hold of this, that middle section. Did you see in the video how it clipped together?
Yeah,
that means you could extend that out to actually make something a little more kind of blockade, somewhere between a blockade runner and a Lambda with an extended hull.
Because it's and
then if you I would play through that.
It's the open lock system, and there's quite a few other people use it, which means if you've got other designs that use a similar open lock system, you could combine this with other bits and pieces that you have. I think somebody was talking about Second Destiny, which I think we've looked at their Kickstarters many moons ago. They've done a ton of beautiful looking ships, but they also work on the open lock system. So it'd be interesting to see just how combinable this all is in many respects. But so that's our first of our little delightful Kickstarters, which is the Universal Shuttle Type G. It's already funded. And
how many days left on that one?
9 days left on it.
Okay.
So you two can jump right in there and take to the stars. And then hopefully you might be able to land at some place like Fulton. So again, funded, very modest goal on this, 84 quid.
Absolutely.
So like €100 or $100. But it's a little set of industrial terrain that you can use to stick onto your tabletop. Obviously works well for any sci-fi game.
Yeah.
I do like the look of these sort of automated cranes
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. You imagine
quite a
being
command and conquer feel to it.
It does. It has an incredible command and conquer feel. Your buildings need more power. Construction cannot be completed. But yeah, it's a sort of a modular-esque system, so you can construct
very nice for Alien.
Ways. Yeah, great for Alien.
Yeah.
You know, play that for me. There we go. So you can see the modular system as it builds up. So you can put in as much or as little of this as you want, or replicate it and stack it in various ways. So when you're putting together your tabletop, you can really customize it to your heart's content, which I think is key when you're doing stuff with 3D prints, just to allow you to see how things come together. And it means, again, you can extend and extrapolate. These buildings just are the base, if you will, of your base, and you can go from there. Apart from the power plants and the various constructions, there's also a chunky set of vehicles. So we've got a light armored, more heavily armored one, and a big sort of trucky truck, which, you know, obviously if you're playing any sort of sci-fi game, having something like that coming barreling over the top of the dunes, raking off missiles at people's heads, that's a good way to remove any alien threat.
That'll do it, yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I know the exact game for this then, just seeing those vehicles, Necromunda Ash Wastes, do some like Orlock Outpost with this would be perfect. Gary, your love of sometimes it's so heartwarming, mate.
It is. It's very heartwarming. But if something this size with this amount of armor comes trucking over the ash wastes, 5 guys on the back of a flea or 2 guys on a quad that's likely to tip over are not going to stop this with its turret. Space Marines, maybe.
Mad Max, witness me.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they will. But yeah, again, just a nice relatively
Modest little
self-contained.
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter, yeah.
Jojo, I wish you the best of luck, because that is lovely, lovely little pieces of design. So I know you're already funded. Hopefully you pick up a few more off the back of this, because that's fully deserved. And that's a lovely little kit there.
That's
really
great.
like that.
I mean,
And those little vehicles, nice work on them.
Is this to be printed in resin or FDM or both?
Well, this one can go either or. It's not specifically set for it, so it's not limited to one because it's only been tested on one type of thing. So yeah, it's worth having a little look at that. And there are 10 days left for Fool's Hope, the Outpost 40. So if you fancy giving that a go and adding some unusual space mining operations to your Star Wars tables, you can do that.
Happy days. Shall we get stuck back into some Star Wars design?
Indeed, we are on to our next category. So this one is titled, Are You Sure This Is the Droid You're Looking For? So have you paid credits for a droid that not even the Jawas would bother stealing? Faulty in certain areas and came with a few unexpected quirks? It takes a good salesman to palm off some dodgy droids. C-3PO didn't even come with clothes on. So we are burying our head into some unusual droids that can come from the strangest of workshops within the Star Wars universe. So we are going to look at the first one from Brian Fowler again. Brian Fowler 713 has got Arga, which A5A, who is a musical droid. So the only known survivor of a pleasure barge shot down on Kesu. A5A
Droid
is
vibe.
strange.
Droid Satriani right there.
Is strange even for an abandoned droid, in spite of chassis containing an advanced sound system, databanks of music from over 2 million cultures, insists on only playing music with an unidentified worn instrument. So this is really cool. This is another great one.
I love it because it's so screamingly Star Wars out there. You know, the fact that
Brian does get it, doesn't he? Brian does get it.
Yeah. He does it.
Yeah.
Here we are kicking it back on our rock in the middle of nowhere. I mean, the owner's dead. Everybody else presumably is dead. It's got no other function or rules to adhere to or obey. So what does it do? Well, its programming says it plays music. So
just the vignette behind this is just the burning barge, and it's just sitting there chilling out.
Well, this guy knows he's not a main character, doesn't he? He's just getting on with his life. He's just on the side. He's just carrying on with it. It's fantastic.
That and the last musician droid on that pleasure barge that didn't perform constantly, he ended up with the torturer droids upside down being branded. So so you've got to stick with it. But yeah,
been through it. Yeah, really cool, that one. The next one we've got is Radagast 65 with Protector 336. So this android was made by Jedi a long time ago to protect nature on his home planet, as he had foretold that once he will pass away, there may be a battle that will forever change planet's climate and destroy all life on it.
I have every 80s manga cartoon tune running through my mind right now. Wow.
Protector 336.
That's a piece of work right there. Huh?
You're not going to fear anything with that droid around, are you? You don't need to move. You're sorted.
I mean, just don't litter in his area. Otherwise, you may get the horns.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that cat is petrifying. I mean, you don't know. It's just reading my mind, staring at me.
Wow. I wasn't expecting that. That wow.
Droids. And you know what they say, from the mind of a child, because even though Radagast put the entry in, I think it was his daughter actually came up with the idea and
nice.
put the droid together. So
fantastic.
I'm all about the sentient droids. We've only got a handful of them in the Star Wars universe, and mostly it's IG running about shooting people in the face. At least this one's shooting people in the face for a reason.
Oh
yeah, this one doesn't need help. This one does not, to be perfect.
Why are you kidding me? Because nature.
Climate change.
Absolutely brilliant. So the next one we have got on our list is Marnock, and this is with M4BU. So he has been designed as a communication and sensor droid for Mining Consortium and was discovered by a rebel cell buried under a rock side but all but destroyed when she had lain trapped for decades. They patched her up as best as they could and repurposed her for multiple roles, including surveillance and hacking. She's been damaged and rebuilt 7 times since, most recently due to being used as bait for a stormtrooper patrol. I feel a bit sorry for her, do you? Oh, she's been through the walls.
So well, though.
Yeah.
I'm loving the ramshackle look of the different components that have all
Yes.
been
One
mashed
massive
in.
leg, missing an arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I feel sorry for a droid. That's what's bad. I have sympathy for the droid. It's been about just
Maybe,
wants a steady job.
Maybe someday Rick Kebab will find it, because clearly it's been made by their people.
Yeah, potentially.
Yes.
Exactly. There's a
one.
similar theme. That is
Who's next?
fantastic. And the next one we've got is Gambino with C3AS, and it's a special modified C3PO droid. The S stands for Special Modification. The crew of the Red Viper argues it stands for Shrew. As C3AS tends to be very shrewd when dealing with any individual who's not Salan Elapede. Many joke that Shrew actually managed Salan Elapede by keeping his assignments and business finance. Salan Elapede has heard this and often jokes about it openly. The droid also keeps his master up on all the news and current events, but anyone who is wise enough to take a second look will notice that the droid tapping away at the datapad has 2 heavy blasters on his hips. Shrew has been in numerous firefights and is often overlooked standing at just a tad over 1 meter tall.
Tiny legs.
I bet he's as lippy as K2SO.
Oh, you bet. He's got to be.
You are being
I'd love
rescued. Please do not resist.
Oh,
I like
could
the light bulb look eyes. Look like screws in new ones, like Bender.
Yeah, that's really cute.
I mean, you kind of imagine him spinning out when he's zooming in and screwing back in.
He just looks like he's arrogant, doesn't he? I can just imagine a really tense fight, really mad stuff going, and this guy sprints across with his little legs, He's adorable, but also very threatening.
Creepy too. I just imagine him moving and just ribbing around, and he's like a mix of he's like a mix of Willow and the robot from Alien. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just got that kind of. It's a weird thing, man, but I like it.
Yeah, it is good.
I like it.
And we have got one more entry for this one, and our final one is from Gogs, and this is a droid designated danger. So that's what I've been told. Droid designation, danger. So this one is full out now. Looks like an assassin of some kind of droid. Very cool.
I really like this for. We've seen a lot of, I'm going to say, relatively static setups. Musician playing on a rock. People sitting around, people just standing there. But it's the fact that DNAGER is front and center in the middle of whatever's going on. And I also like the fact that it's rocking twin machine guns.
Oh yeah, I know. You can't. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to praise twin machine guns. This is what immediately draws me to it.
That is screaming Star Wars, because they use those
Had
for the
a very
stormtroopers.
bad day.
And
Just imagine them folding out of him, just slowly coming out of him.
It would be an awesome. I'm looking at it and I'm imagining what it would be like in black and white as an alternative stormtrooper style as well.
Yeah.
So it's
big boxy head, like a proto scout trooper type thing.
Definitely.
right. I have my favorite for this one.
Okay, who we got? So who's everybody feeling?
Who wants to go first on their favorite?
Well, I'll go first since I went
Go on
last
then,
time round. It was actually relatively tough, because I really, really liked M4BU. The ramshackle dug out of a hole in the head.
From Marnock.
Yeah.
After being trapped for God knows how long by whoever. But I actually think it's the offspring of C-3PO and the Doug from episode 1. I imagine those arms get used as much as those tiny legs for motivation.
Oh yeah,
because they're quite as long. Yeah, just scuttling
speedy
around.
little guy.
Can he do
And
parkour?
I just love that, because it's bizarre, it's surreal. It doesn't have to conform to whether or not Anthony Daniels can fit in there either.
Yeah.
So he can be a bit more abstract. And I really like the abstract weird robots.
That clearly was a Danny Baker. Was it Danny Baker? Who was
No, Danny Baker was the big fat comedian / radio host.
All right. Oh, not Danny Baker.
No, Kenny Baker.
Kenny Baker. That would have been a Kenny Baker one there.
Yeah.
They would have.
In that one.
It would have.
Yeah. So that's my favorite. I just like the whole look and aesthetic.
Well, I have actually picked a different one. So I'll chuck this in now so as we can start to build the tension. And I loved that one. I loved the Protector. I loved all of them. I loved the Protector. It just blew me away. Mm-hmm. But I'm chucking my lot in with M4BU.
Going with the other midget droid.
Yes. It just really fits the brief. And I love the fact what actually sold it to me at the finish up was I was looking and I was going, I wonder where it got built. And then when you said that built it, I thought that's exactly where that came from.
100%.
That's exactly where that came from. So that's my choice. M4BU.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry to do this, but I am going to have us have a 3-way split on this one. So because my favorite is actually Protector 336, because I love the idea of one of the younglings from our community getting involved with this, and I think they do deserve to win for getting involved with us in this.
Yeah. Oh, I think they're all awesome. Why did you do this to me? They're all so good. Why are you giving me the power? Okay. My gut feeling, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from M4BU from Marnock, in my opinion, because the more I look at it, the more I'm thinking, wow, okay, that's missing. Oh, that's good. That's been upgraded there. Oh, where did they get that from? And it almost looks polished, but it doesn't. And I felt sympathy, fits the brief for me. Yep, I'm 100% my favourite for this one is Marnock.
Congratulations to everybody on that category. That was awesome.
Yeah,
Love
that's
that.
tough. It's a tight one.
The droids were good. What will Cantina's be like? You'll have to wait for a swish to find out.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
Hello, everybody. We're back once again. And time to take a look at some 3D printing before we get our last batch of entrants out of the way for the Star Wars Challenge.
Yeah, I've heard it is this year. Yeah.
It will be the bad batch. Because they're all from the Cantina as well. So I like it. This one picked itself, really, as far as 3D printing goes. The company is called Imperial Terrain. Can you guess what they might do?
Ancient Chinese stuff.
Could it possibly be Star Trek?
It's all about the Mandarin Chinese.
Yeah, potentially.
3D printed tabletop trade for your tiny fighting men's. There's a bet.
Like a hunter ship.
I will point out, because these will be repeated multiple times anyway, so we'll just stay on the main page. You can get them as STLs. You can get them pre-printed from an Etsy store if you don't have a 3D printer. Or, you can just go nuts in here. They are split up into various bundles and selections for ease of reference. Mm-hmm. I'm going to start the bidding with vehicles, though, because I'm like that. Because it's one of the things I've noticed, both for Star Wars and Stargrave recently, being able to throw a shuttle down on a tabletop is a wondrous, wondrous thing. And really, you can have as much sci-fi terrain as you want, but it could just be, future world here. But the minute you start slapping things like this down onto your table, then you really get an idea of what you're actually looking at is more sci-fi in the grim, gritty future.
Especially with Star Wars, whenever you can be battling in around ancient ruins or adobe buildings and things like that.
Yeah.
That's your narrative tie-in right there, is that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Being able to just slap one of these onto a table that may be used for other wargaming the rest of the time that you're using for ancients or Napoleonics or whatever happens to be. You're just got a load of stuff that you've got kicking around, green hills or hills anywhere, whether you're on Dantooine or Dagobah, so it doesn't really matter. But then you just slap one of these beside some mud hut and off you go.
But this is why Star Wars is the gaming connoisseur's best friend. Because, Jerry, let me give you some examples. You can buy Adobe Buildings for a load of your Africa stuff and your Africa World War II stuff, right? And then just use it with Star Wars. You can buy from Fogoo the beautiful little Irish stone,
the beehive huts and stuff.
Beehive huts and stuff like that. And you can put it down on some green rocky terrain. You can play your Saga on that. You could play any of that, the fantasy games on that.
Slaying.
And then you can play Star Wars. Just stick in a ship. You can get a dungeon. Okay? You can get a dungeon and you can lay it out and you can use it for all your D&D and whatnot. Then you can chuck a few sci-fi bits in it and you can use it for Star Wars.
Yeah.
There's no grim dark. There's no reliance on skulls. There's no reliance on Gothic.
Yeah.
It marries beautifully with the historical games and the fantasy games that us connoisseurs already love.
Because, well, when you're playing in a universe and every system can have different planets with different levels of tech on it, and the only thing that ties them all together is the Empire attempting to bring peace and security, then, you can go nuts. I really like this. I just love the sheer wealth of ships that they've already got out there, from the little one-man snub fighters, which can't damage a battle station of this magnitude, down to your more sort of grindy, here's a repulsor lift thing that we can put a load of cargo crates on the back and just have driving around. The Star Wars equivalent of a train.
It's components like this that make your table look lived in.
You could also, you could have to create the Firefly on that as well. You hold off Reavers as they steal it. You can.
Jerry, if you're in a browser there, just 2 seconds. I'm going to deviate a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you type in Starlink game or Starlink PS4 or something like that, okay?
Okay.
I just want to give a little heads up to anybody that is like myself and doesn't like painting and does like their Star Wars and stuff like that. So,
okay. So am I just looking to, is there a specific one? Because there's a load of stuff.
You just go to images. Go to Starlink game and then go to images. This is a now redundant video game. Okay. I'm not seeing it on the screen, by the way, Jerry.
Yeah, that's because all I'm getting is a ton of toy advertisements. Let me try without the PS4 bit. There we go. That's better. There's still toys in there, but there's less toys.
Okay, right. So do you see the box shots? No, forget about the video game shots. Go to the box shots.
Yes, yeah.
Right? Those are actual starfighters at 28mm scale. Okay. And they are being sold off for £3 at the moment.
Stop.
This is going to turn into that castle toy you find.
£2, £3, or £4.
Yeah.
They are being liquidated at the moment.
Where do these live at that price?
Well, in the UK, I've been picking them up in the Works. And some of the budget stores. Some of the budget toy stores also have stacks of them. Okay, and the minis are, but the actual little starfighters, the starfighters are great.
Little gathering and off you go.
So I have picked up a dose of those and have them sitting here for Star Wars games and things like that. There just to weather up a bit and chuck down on the table in a hanger or something like that.
That's a great idea.
It's handy for people like myself who don't trust the far future. and this digital
3D printing malarkey.
I'll never.
Can you go across to that heavy one, Jerry?
Yes, I can go across that heavy one.
Heavy
that. You see, this is where 3D printing comes into its own, right? Because you won't find many toys like that.
No,
but in Star Wars, that's what we need because we've got AT-ATs and Millennium Falcons and things like that. So something like that creates a superb narrative play piece to play around or over, potentially even in if they've done the interior where the landing pads left off. And if they
See in
haven't,
a minute.
doesn't matter. It's still a superb piece to have because you could fully interact
It's a
with them.
hole.
Isn't the Mando and Bill Burr sitting in the front of this?
They are sitting into something like that, yeah. So
Imagine that's probably where they got the idea from it for. Yeah, well, you can see there's a cockpit interior
Mhm.
anyway.
Wow.
Presumably that, poor toy.
This is why I like these designs better than grabbing some toys, is because these have been designed to be played with on the tabletop. There's
Yeah.
a little less work to do for you. Yes, you have more work painting, but to actually make it playable in certain areas, I think these are superior.
The ladders are great at the side. I saw the ladders.
I disagree. I'll pick
Fair
up
enough.
toys all day long.
Fair enough. To each their own,
Especially
Warren. You're
Star
having your
Wars
way.
toys.
Oh, look, there you go.
I think it's safe to say you can play inside that if you want.
Whoa, how cool.
Although
And again,
There's
the
your
nice
open lock.
system.
it's very much the coming thing, I believe,
Hmm.
Yeah.
like what the kids do.
That is pretty hefty.
I want one of them. I want one.
Yeah. You can
Oh,
have it.
wow.
Anyway,
The-
Have I told people it's my birthday?
Yeah, we weren't listening then either.
No.
Apart from the vehicles, there are, as you can see here, ancient ruins, desert, military, industrial, landing bay, urban, forest, and wrecked themes, each of which have a variety of stuff in them. So,
Ancient.
obviously-
Let's open ancient, then forest.
okay, so ancient.
Yeah, I wanna
if
see
you want to bring your people onto some Sith moon, then you too can do that with
Ooh.
some sassy Sith temples.
That's gorgeous.
You know,
Very
That's
stunning.
beautiful.
again, all you need is a couple of bits and pieces thrown in amongst some hills and forest terrain or hills and jungle
Mhm.
terrain,
Mhm.
and you have that. And then Luke Skywalker can start his Jedi Academy in that Sith temple, and then watch them all fall to the dark side,
Yeah.
and then go,
Uh,
why did you do this, Luke? You're
I
the
like
worst
seeing
Jedi.
this where they've
The
got
worst.
completed pieces on a table.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. This is something we were talking about in XLBS a couple of weeks ago about how would you like to see minis displayed before you buy them, and 3D printing especially. It's nice to see them built and being played.
Mhm.
yeah. The ancient rune set is an interesting collection, shall we say? Because you have that once you've added a bit of scatter on it as well. I mean, that could easily just be used for fantasy anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But
So
then you can still have things like your hangars and the like that maybe some rebel scum have had to build in and around the temple to park an X-wing or two.
Ties it all in together.
Yeah,
mm,
so
Love that.
it's
Right.
it's
Go to
really nice
forest,
set.
Jerry. Show me the forest. Show me the forest.
Show you the money. Our
bring on
forest
the
says
trees.
I'm ready for
Trees.
I
trees.
get that
Ah.
we have some of our people with showing these folks their money.
Oh,
There you go.
that fallen tree base is lovely.
Mhm.
Oh, that one's great.
It's a good way
That's
of
your
doing
Endor
Endor
right there.
without having to constantly poke your eye out on the top of the
Uh-huh.
pine tree.
That's a good idea.
I mean, it's one.
Oh,
of those
I love
things
this
that
one.
maybe everybody wants to play. Is that fight on the moon of Endor?
Oh, I like this one. This one's my favourite. It's so natural looking. Perfect idea.
Then
Not
you
just,
get some speeder bikes, and then you play a Gasland racing game around
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
tree setup.
Or if you're free, you'll print them all out,
Ah.
and they are perfect for Moonstone.
Exactly.
The internet has ruined you.
Yeah.
Now, if you've got your trees from Endor, and you
You
want to
need
make,
it indoors as well.
and you want to up gun it somewhat,
Yes.
Ooh.
Okay,
then,
let's see.
then you
Let's
go
see.
into your military. And then this gives you things like your landing pads, your
yes.
bunkers, your command posts,
Oh,
Your
these are
massive defense.
nasty.
platforms, all of these things and so much more. You too
look
can
at
attempt
that.
to,
Trim nets and off you go.
drop a landing class shuttle on that and then just go charging at each other.
Mhm.
Or if you want to park an at beside something,
Mm-hmm.
there's your little lift to get in and out, up and down.
That's fab.
Digging it.
It's the levels I like.
Yeah. It's like the Cover Bon Jovi Slippery When Wet, as many steps and columns.
No safety barriers.
Oh, that's brilliant.
No.
Key Star Wars element there.
Yeah, because if you put them, people would be leaning. They want people leaning on them when they should be working. But like that, the fact that you don't have to put the gun on it, you just have it as like an observation post, like a
Bunker
command
tower
post.
is awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Again,
do
if you
like
pick
that.
up the 3D files, you can make as many of these as you want for your table.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and whatever scale you
3.
want as well.
In whatever
Yep,
scale you
yep.
want.
Yep.
Possibly
Oh
even
man,
more
that
than 3.
is the most unsafe ladder I've ever seen.
That's fine. What's wrong with that? If people can't climb up that, they don't deserve to be stormtroopers.
Oh, exactly. They
that?
must undergo through serious training, like the bleep test equivalent. So
The ultimate climb the corporate ladder test, isn't it? Really? So, like-
They all need the risks.
yes.
Swap things up. We'll have a quick look at the industrially sort of stuff. So if you want your cargo, you want your bits of scattered terrain,
cargo platforms.
you know, facades, and just things to set down to add things to. So look, that's practical. That's almost a barrier.
Yeah.
It's a bit much, I feel. Why
The
do you need
most
so much?
useful one in this set is actually that console bundle.
Uh-huh.
Because if you're wanting to take something like your Adobe buildings and make them more sci-fi,
Just
throwing
chuck a load of consoles down.
consoles and little bits of piping and stuff, perfect to sci-fi up any kind of terrain.
Mm.
Ooh. I'm looking at these, the pictures you had a minute ago, and they look like floppy disks, but they're not floppy disks.
No,
Just
they're not.
plain metal. No.
Cargo platforms. That's how you can tell they're not floppy disks.
I know.
No container bar, unfortunately. But obviously, if you're looking for stuff, they've got you covered across pretty much every place you've seen, from Tatooine to Naboo. There's some, slightly more upgraded, fancier looking buildings. Or if you want your ancient Sith ruins or weird Jedi temple in the middle of nowhere, they've got you covered for that as well. But if you're planning on playing out some Star Wars games, then you could certainly do worse than take a look at Imperial Terrain. It may well be the terrain you're looking for.
One more on it.
Which leads us lovely to the very final
category. Yes.
That's what I'm looking for.
We're on the last one now, and our last one could be absolutely anything. We don't know what we're diving into here, because we are looking into the category Cantina Dweller. So the Cantina is the place where you'll see all walks of life. You can lounge in the bar, indulge in some death sticks, or just simply absorb the ambience from the best jizz artists in the business. So the Cantina is purely just full of all walks of life, either working for or against the Empire. There's always going to be a drink waiting for you in the grey area that is the Cantina. So I'm really looking forward to this one, because there were so many fantastic ones for this. It was really hard to scope it down.
The biggest category
It
entry as far as just volume of people throwing things in here. So it was a tricky one to whittle this down to 5.
Yes, indeed that was. So the first one we have is from Hippie the Grim. So arriving at the Cantina, covered in snow, smile slowly fading on his face, Mr. Tumnus realised that he was not in the right closet. After years of travelling the Coruscant underbelly, looking for the door home, losing his smile, whimsy, one of his hooves, and what was left of his innocence, he realised he would need help. He's heard of tales of magic users at a temple nearby. What could go wrong? So Mr. Tumnus has definitely gone through the wrong closet or come out of the closet.
There's no way I could not include Mr. Tumnus, having wandered out of Narnia and on
with his
Coruscant.
Y-front.
The Speedo is real.
His little pants. I like it.
Oh,
I love it.
It kind of looks like he's just walked out of a hotel room.
Do you want to know something, though?
Star Night.
That's a character they could never put into a Star Wars movie, because you would have to make him the star. You know what I mean? You couldn't have a camera past
can't ignore it.
past something like that in a cantina, because you'd have the entire world going, "Stop! Go back!"
What's his deal?
He did do it though.
I'm not saying I need to know what happened here.
But James McAvoy played Tumnus.
He did, yeah.
And now he's old enough that he could recast him for the Star Wars version as the older, more cynical.
He could.
Yes.
He would pull that off with a
Oh,
grizzly
100%.
tumbler.
Could.
Yeah.
He definitely could. Yep,
Yeah,
space.
but, I mean,
yeah.
Being
Ron
older and more
Cossack.
gritty, it wouldn't be Mr. Tumnus. It would just be, Tumnus.
Tumbler.
Just Tumnus or Senator Tumnus, not quite Senator.
Mm.
He wouldn't make it there. He couldn't.
He would call himself senator.
So the next one on the list, we've got David DD7. So to
Smoke
me,
me a kipper. I'll be back for breakfast.
That is one mighty mustache.
that is intelligent mustache material there. So you've got Tiger Rondo. He's a gunslinger, treasure hunter, soldier of fortune, and lover. If you ask him, then he is all of these things. However, to the owners and denizens of dive cantinas across the Outer Rim, the one word they will uninformably use is trouble. As if he's not taking up prime table space, racking up the bar tab whilst jotting on the lockbox that accompanies him in everywhere. He's liable to be getting into bar fights, pursuing obscure vendettas, and generally doing anything but the job he's been hired to do. It's fortunate that he is a dab hand with a paired blaster pistols when the need arises.
Justin, could you help me just identify, check something? Is that the dog's tail?
Good question.
Is that a dog's tail?
They are one. One mind high. This is great. I love the
I like
old,
this one.
fluffy feathered hair has got me on this one. It's it's smooth as anything. The moustache and feathered hair combo. This guy is suave as anything.
Almost getting vibes of Escape from New York with Snake Plissken.
It's what do you call him? Action Rimmer. Is it
Ace Rimmer?
Ace Rimmer.
Yeah.
It is Ace Rimmer. Absolutely Ace
Stuff me a
Rimmer.
clipper, I'll be back for Christmas. I like the fact that he's embraced the Star Wars ism of space cowboys, and then a pair of what appear to be German Lugers,
It seems that way.
which
Is it not a Mauser?
which is perfect because Star Wars stole so many World War II weapons because they were so cheap.
Yep.
Let's just use all of those.
Yeah, that's
Love
great.
I love
Brilliant.
that one. Who's next?
The next one we've got is Warhammer Grimace. So we've got Targu Spokane. He's a private investigator working in the cesspit of the Empire, investing in crime and hunting down the scum that infest the murky underworld. Oh, I was just talking about a suave gentleman, wasn't I?
Mm.
I mean,
I want to
it's
know
a
how
little
he
bit
smokes
milady.
that. I want to know how he smokes that. How does a droid smoke a cigar?
It's not a droid.
Droid, look.
Look, it's got fleshy ears.
Oh.
Unless it's a droid that stole the ears, or it's a what do you call a cyborg?
Yep.
Oh, I like that.
He maybe got in a
Sounds
fight with a
amazing.
stormtrooper and just chopped the front of the helmet off and just.
Yeah,
It's like
cover your
the
identity.
gremlin leader, isn't it?
He's rich.
So it's
He's
Gremlins
rich,
2.
isn't he?
There's a bit of like 1920s gangster
Yeah,
influence going
he looks
on
like
there.
if Dick Tracy was a PI in Star
Star
Wars,
Wars, yeah.
just missing prune face.
Yeah.
Love that one.
Dig it.
Absolutely
Mhm.
adore that one. I
And
love that. Yeah. All right,
we've
who's
got
next?
one more, and it's our final one from
No, you have
Grace.
two more.
Two more.
I see two tabs.
I lied. We've got two more, guys.
There.
There's two.
Don't shortchange me. I'm loving every second of this.
I was at the end of my page. I was confused. But we have got two more. We've got Greystoke 15, which this is Cantina Dweller. Wooden McClay is a Scarabadiodian ship captain and infamous smuggler operating in the Outer Rim. Scarabadiodians are rarely seen above ground, preferring a fossorial lifestyle. However, Wooden suffers from claustrophobia, a condition unheard of amongst his kind, which has led to him cast off in an underground lifestyle natural to his people and seek life of fortune amongst the stars.
That's an
For the
amazing
use
backstory.
Of bifocal spectrometers, Wooden has been able to overcome the limitations of visual impairments with the natural ability to detect subsonic frequencies over vast distances makes Wooden an uncanny pilot.
This category has been insane.
Yeah.
Every single one that has come up has become my new favorite.
So annoying.
I thought the last one was going to win. And now I've seen this one. And this is now my new favorite. And it's like,
People are cool.
I love that. And the
This
backstory's
fits.
incredible.
This fits for me. I adore this one. It's the goggles. The you imagine him just sitting at the back making some weird noises, clicking or something.
Or your main character bumping into him and just starting a bar fight.
But I could see this sitting in the cantina in A New Hope with the flight suit and then just the extremities being big rubbery feet and an extra pair of arms sewn on underneath.
It feels right.
It does.
Right, who's our last one then?
Very cool. And the final one is Undead John with Zasram deck. Currently reigning Sabak champion on the Tatooine Cantina circuit and former procurer and transporter of exotic items from a discerning clientele. He's definitely not a thief or a smuggler. Definitely not.
That's what I would expect a thief and a smuggler to not say.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. He's definitely not. Yeah. But I love how all of these are smoking. All of our Cantina dwellings have got a really bad habit. They really have, yeah.
When you're playing Sabak on Tatooine and drinking whatever filth it is they have to drink on a regular basis, imagine you'd be hammering through the death sticks like they're going out of fashion.
Takes the taste away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very much so.
The gambler vibe on this guy is just gorgeous.
He's bright egg, this guy, isn't he?
Yeah, you can imagine him standing up on a stage, dropping the bag of credits and going, "Who will face me for a game? Who dares challenge me?"
Pick a card, any card. I'll tell you what, I'll play you, but I'm not playing with your deck.
Yeah. Really amazing.
One, two, three, wizard
all day long to pay his barbell.
Also,
my favorite
patch.
My favorite was Wooden McKay or McClay. Okay. I'm going to get him. I'm going to peg mine on the board straight away. That's 100%.
Really
I'm going to go with Dick Tracy in space. I really like the textures and the clothing and stuff. I think the design on this one's pretty top tier.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is really tough. I've stared at these and I've looked at them about 4 or 5 times and I still can't tell you what one's my favourite. I am going to go with Greystokes with Wooden McClay. I really do enjoy that one. I think if it's perfect, as I said, I can see this in Star Wars. Me personally, sitting there in the cantina.
Yeah. Well, having looked at them all, and so many more besides, I have to say, I came dangerously close to Mr. Tumnus. so close to Mr. Tumnus. But it's actually Woodan as well for me.
Fair enough.
He just look. I can picture him sitting. I can see. I can see the high altitude suit that they used for a lot of the Star Wars suits like that. For the I can see this. I've actually been sitting there on the set when somebody got their arm lopped off by that crazy old wizard. It just screams Cantina Dweller to me.
Yeah.
I think it has to be 3 for Woodan.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't pick a winner all day.
Congratulations, winners.
Yep. Well done, the lot of you. Like I say, there are so many more.
There were loads.
With tons of backstory behind them as well. Some have really, really pulled out all the stops to describe and explain who they are, what they look like, and why they're there. So well worth taking a look at the full post. We may pick out a few of our favourites that didn't quite make the cut as well, maybe. Don't know. Yeah. Keep an eye out for that.
Chelsea.
One thing.
Yes.
If folks go through to the Hero Forge site and check some of these out, let's say you go and you find an amazing one. Are you just able to view it, or can you actually go on through and get that mini for yourself?
No, you can buy
curiosity.
You can go on and get it for yourself.
I was just curious.
Yep. Once you've got the link, you can go in there, and also means you can amend. So if you've seen something that you like and you're going, that's nice, I'd like that for myself, but maybe I'd like to have them armed, or I'd like them to be in a different
pose.
Or 2 death sticks.
2 death sticks. Yeah. Once the poses are in there, you can do that yourself, and then just fire them out in whatever way, shape, or form you want. So you can print them, grab the STLs, or even just get the images for your own desktop or games as well. So well done to everyone.
Yes.
Now,
Been a blast.
that wraps us up for an unusual Star Warsy show. But the Star Wars doesn't stop there. There's more Star Wars, although we've run out of numbers for Star Wars, because it'll be on Sunday the
we did.
8th.
8th.
Sunday the 8th. Who knows?
May the 4th. Return of the 6th.
The 8th awakens.
That works.
So, if you haven't had enough of us yet, and how could you? We have already, Free, Warren, and myself, sat down and started playing a game with one of our community members, Ralph. So, Grimwolf UK. He's been taking us into the galaxy far, far away to play a bit of an RPG. The first part of that came out on May the 4th, and the second part comes out on Sunday the 8th. If you want to see it, you can come over and view it along with us. This is going to be replacing our usual XLBS show for our Cult of Games members, but since it was Star Wars week, we thought we'd treat you, we spoil you, really we do. If you haven't had all you can stand of Star Wars, then that's the best place to view it on Sunday morning. And you can join us again next Friday, where you can be in with chances to win more goodies. Don't forget, if you're a winner, to go to our prize claim category, stick your name in there and let us know your details. And also, if you want a chance to win that copy of Diabolik, the investigating game, courtesy of the UK Games Expo, then pop a comment below as well. But until next week, folks, have a great week of gaming. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.